We're going to introduce ourselves, of course. We're starting doing this, sharing data with you. We'll talk about what the Book Direct Day is, how it got started, and try to think why people are interested in this topic nowadays. Are direct bookings actually cheaper for hosts? Is it as well, in a way, isn't it direct booking actually pushed by people who want to flog their, direct bookings, software, websites, channel management, right? Is a whole conspiracy to get us to buy yet more services and software. Again, I'm the devil's advocate, no hate here. All right, so as I said, so Mark, maybe you want to introduce yourself for people who may not know you yet.
Yeah, so first and foremost, my name is Mark Simpson. I founded a company called Boostly back in 2016. I've been in this industry of hospitality and short-term rental for many, many years now. A lot of people in the Zoom room I think they know who I am. But for those who don't, I was pretty much born into hospitality on a 200-acre farm stay, bed and breakfast in Scarborough in the northeast of the UK. I grew up with my three brothers and sisters, and I had one goal, and that was to escape. I wanted to escape the small town. I wanted to go and travel, and I wanted to be a soccer player, a football player. One problem with that, I'm not very good at playing football. If anybody's ever seen me play football before, you will know why. So I fell into coaching, soccer coaching, and got my qualifications, got my UEFA B badges, and then got the amazing opportunity to go to America. Spent many years in America coaching soccer, coaching the football, and 2011 ended up back in the UK, ended up in London of all places, and my parents, who had the business for about 25 years at that point, asked me and my then fiance, now wife, to come back into the business. And that started me on this very crazy journey of helping that family business grow online, visibility through websites and social media, to then in 2016 actually helping a couple of local hosts in Scarborough how to navigate email, social media, how to do a few tweaks on, we'll talk about the OTAs. And from there, I can't really explain what's happened from there for the last 5 years. It's been a bit crazy. Now we're doing this, releasing my book today. There's over 1,000 hosts that we've helped build a direct booking website with. There's over 1,000 hosts who are doing the training side of Boostly all over the world. And the podcast is one of the top 2% of the podcast downloads in the world, which is crazy. And like I say, the book today, and now I'm speaking to yourself here, Thibault. So it's crazy. It's been insane, and everything has been founded on one thing, which is direct bookings, which is why on today of all days being Book Direct Day, hashtag Book Direct Day, if you want to go check it out on social media. It's really important to have this conversation because there are still so many people who either don't know about direct bookings, don't believe in direct bookings. And I feel that everybody in the Zoom room with me is going to be a very one-sided discussion. To Bolt is obviously.
Let me tell you. That's why somebody had to do the job. So thanks, Mark, for the introduction. And again, I will show the cover of your book in just a few minutes. So I'm Thibault. I hear you, Mark. You had three siblings, and you run away from your village as fast as you can. I have 6 siblings. I ran even faster than you and traveled the world as well. So I own properties on a French island called Saint Barts, and as well in Bali, in Indonesia. I've been doing that for a while. I also worked for 5 years at Booking.com. I know. Some people, someone had to do it. Well, actually, what they wanted is that they were looking for, when they saw Airbnb growing so much, they wanted people from the industry to join them, explain to them what this whole vacation rental thing was about, self-catering places, what these small owners, they didn't know about, basically they didn't know about us. So for 5 years, I was at the headquarters working with them, trying to adapt the tools to the market. As I said, your book is being released. Anything else you want to add about your book, Mark? Are we good?
No, it's all good. It's available on Amazon right now to go and purchase. The Audible version is coming later today. If you're watching this after the 2nd of February, it'll be available now. The Kindle and the print version is ready. So yeah, please go and check it out with the link that you can see, booster.co.uk/book.
All right, exactly. And on my side, so we've launched as well, as I said, Rentals Club launched a network, the private network. I see a few people from there. Hello, Daniela. Basically, we have a basic level that is free. Every Wednesday, you get a newsletter. We talk about the big trends, what Airbnb is up to, or how to do a homeowner acquisition campaign if you're a property manager. We talk about the big trends on the market, book direct versus OTAs, for example, new technology. And also we have a private network called Scalers Network, where basically we help people get results, where we do masterminds, for example. We have private calls about investment or this kind of topics. So feel free to go to www.scalers.network.com to check it out. All right, data. So I'm going to share with you just like quickly 3 slides with data. That's it. And then we go to the live debate and I stop sharing my slides. But these data comes from exactly as Mark was saying in an intro. This data has been shared by Amy Hinote. Amy Hinote basically somewhat, let's say, invented the book direct movements in the vacation rental industry. We'll get into more details later, but she's really somebody to know here when it comes to the topic. And she owns VR, she runs VR Mintel. VR Mintel is just like Rental Scale Up, like an industry news website. And she's partnered with the Key Data Dashboard to share data about the US market precisely, property management companies in the US in traditional vacation rental markets. So mostly non-urban, I would say non-urban US, right? And what they see here in terms of trends is that basically direct bookings generate a higher average stay value. Basically the booking values, the reservations are bigger. So the money, the amount people are paying is just more than through, let's say, Airbnb, which is in pink, Vrbo in blue, or Booking.com in green. Again, in the chat, if you something you've seen, if you've seen that your direct bookers were bringing you, were basically making bigger bookings. I'm not talking about the profit you're making. I'm talking about the size of the booking. Let us know. One factor for that is, as a second slide, is that they tend to stay longer apparently. And that's interesting because that's even through the pandemic, right? Basically direct bookings, according to what Amy shared, is around 6 days on average, length of stay. Booking.com, of course, being the shortest one. As you may know, Booking.com caters to people who are looking for both hotels and vacation rentals. So they tend to have a behavior closer to hotel bookers and to shorter stays. I should know about that. Again, if this is something you see, right, are your direct bookers also booking longer? That's interesting. And yet, why do we have a debate? Because of what she shared today. She shared actually that the share of direct bookings, and I've seen that people in a comment have like up into 100%, which is amazing. But that share for property managers in the US is going down. That especially in 2021, that share went down, right? Basically, it was 35% of the bookings, against 47% in 2018. What went up were basically, especially last year, Airbnb and Vrbo. Airbnb jumped from 13 to 17%. Vrbo went from 18 to 20%, 21%. So we'll talk about why this may have happened in 2021 and why people are in 2022. I've got a few ideas, but again, that's to me, that's a source of a debate. Okay, it's bringing more money, great, but for how long? And should you neglect the other channels? And it's just maybe just a source of cost. So I shall stop sharing. And Mark, what did you think of the data first?
I've listened to a lot of podcasts, YouTube videos, interviews that you've done, and a few people have talked about when it comes to stats. And I think something that you said is very important in it, is that with all the numbers that have been released and with all the stats that have been released, you've got to be able to sit back and look at the context around it. There's definitely reasons to why these numbers that are happening, but I feel that for everybody here who are looking at those numbers, you've got to really sort of bring it home to not only you, your business, your location, but also your niche as well, because everywhere is totally different. There'll be people looking at this in the cities, for example, who've got properties in a city. There'll be people who have got properties in a very touristy location, and maybe they're a guest house, or there's people who've got a rental in a touristy, like sort of seaside location, and it's it's really important to always look at these numbers and have it as something to go, okay, this is good. So you've got a bit of a benchmark, but you've really got to look at the context around it. For example, the reason why direct bookings in 2020, especially after say April to August in 2020 would have dramatically gone up and the OTAs will have dramatically decreased is because if you remember, especially in the UK, Airbnb closed off all availability. So if you tried to book a property in the UK and you wanted to book it through your favorite OTA, you couldn't do because there was none. So what people were having to do, were having to think a little, go onto the Google and find people directly, which is what happened. And also as well, hosts, and I'd love to say that a lot of the hosts that are in here who were switched on utilized Facebook groups, Facebook marketplaces. They sort of worked out how to go outside of the OTAs to sort of put their business visible. And so the numbers are important. The numbers, you know, I think we're all fed up of looking at graphs since 2020 because we seem to be getting them on a day-by-day basis of charts and numbers and all of that jazz. But I think it's important to look at, but it's always, for me, the one thing that I always do is look at the sort of the context from the numbers that we're looking at. And I feel that once you do that, then it really does help sort of take a look behind the numbers, so to speak.
So I will politely agree and disagree with you, Mark.
And this is why I love speaking to you.
Exactly.
That's why I really wanted today. This is why I wanted today to be you, because
Exactly.
you are by far the most switched on person in this whole industry. And there's loads of people talking, but you are by far the most switched on because you've got such a good viewpoint on this, because I feel that you, out of everybody that I know, can offer this insight, and it's perfect insight. So please agree and please disagree, and I love to sort of have a back and forth on this.
Yeah, and again, I know I'm playing a room where, you know, of course, you know, who hates direct bookings, right? Again, as I said. But here, what I agree with you is that, again, that's why I pointed out the data. Whenever you look at data, exactly as you said, like, what's the source? Which market are we looking into? And here again, it's professional property managers, probably with more than 20 properties on average, right? In the US, and probably in traditional vacation rental markets, because that's where Key Data, which is a software company, that's where their clients are, that's where they pull data from. So to Mark's point, if you were in the UK, probably it played out differently. Something I want to say as well, which actually could argue for you should be on the OTAs, that what happened in the US last year, 2021, could be, for example, that if you were there, like Airbnb and Vrbo have been investing a lot into advertising. Commercials on TV were big. I think actually Vrbo in the first half of the year spent even more money than Airbnb on advertising. Like, I mean, if you were on YouTube or on TV, you couldn't miss them. Even on a French market, which I know a bit, I could see Vrbo's, whose brand is Abritel in France anyway. They're everywhere. So they've been investing a lot. And what could have happened is that suddenly people were more aware that this company existed. Believe it or not, a lot of people actually have been introduced to vacation rentals, right? During the pandemic, and they don't know where to go. And the first thing where it will turn to, if they were used to booking hotels, where to, for example, Expedia, or they would look what's on TV to know, where to have a choice. So they would look at Vrbo. So in a way, you could argue that maybe what happened, this push of Airbnb and Vrbo, was due to advertising. But maybe what's happening, it's growing the pie for everyone. Maybe people are aware, and the first time they're booking with them, maybe next time with us. What could be happening as well is that maybe people thought that refunds would be easier through OTAs. Yes or no, could argue differently, right? So that's all the reasons. Another reason why is that maybe also vacation rentals websites like Vrbo, for example, or large property managers like Vacasa, they can offer things that our websites cannot. For example, you can do things like book now, pay later. You have these companies like Klarna or Affirm that allow you to, buy now, pay later, right? This has come to our industry, right? So as a property owner or a small property manager, how do you offer the same, payments in installments or through credit? How do you do that? That's also why it may also be hard for us to get hear more direct bookings is because people are expecting a bit more service, not just around the flexible cancellation policy, but even payment terms. And that, I know for some people, they can't just book with you if they have to pay so much money upfront. So that's, to me, that could be explaining the market. I don't know what you think of that, Mark.
I'm really glad you brought this up, because this is something that I wanted to sort of dig in to you directly with, because you're very on the top of it. So Klarna is not new. Klarna has been around for a long time. And if anybody who doesn't know what Klarna is, and I feel like it's maybe more popular in the UK and maybe the US and anywhere else, but Klarna is basically paying installments. It's just like having a credit card, but there's no interest. So a very common phrase that you'll hear now is paying free or paying for. And for purchases, whether it's you're buying some clothes on insert your favorite clothes store, or whether it's a vacation, you've now got the ability to help with the budget and then not have to pay a $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 holiday up front. And you can spread the cost out. So it looks really, really good on the booking front to the guest. Now, Vrbo, the Expedia group, have jumped on this and they have partnered with Klarna, and they now offer that as part of how you book. I can't see it being that long until Booking.com and Airbnb catch up and they start to do this as well. Now, the way it means for you as the host, you still get your money up front, but then it's just they pay it in installments via Klarna. It's just like PayPal, Klarna. PayPal have brought in their own paying free or paying for, and everybody's sort of starting to bring it in now. Klarna are the ones that started it, and it's very, very successful, multi-billion-dollar company already. And I think for me, I'm always looking at what these big guys are doing, how the big chains are doing, and how can us as hospitality owners, property managers, how can we bring it into our business? Now, this is where you're going to have to start potentially bringing the pressure into your property management software, your PMS, the likes of your Hostfullies and your Uplistings and your Guesties, and they'll obviously then have to work with the likes of Stripe. But how can you start to mimic this into your own business? Anybody who uses PayPal, for example, to take payments, you can already do this. It's simple little setup. The other thing I wanted to chat with you, Thibault, I don't know if it was on your things to discuss, but I heard you talking about Hopper. And Hopper is really interesting to me. Now, again, I've used Hopper for the last few years. It's an app on your phone, and it was primarily bought in for flights. And it was really good for me to try and find flights at a discount. But now, I think since the back end of last year, 2021, the last quarter, I've had somebody reach out to me from Hopper who is in the rentals world, which is their new sort of thing that they're doing. But Thibault, I don't know much about it. I've had the person reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I've said, listen, please, the first quarter, don't talk to me. I've got so much going on, but after the first quarter of this year, we'll have a chat and a discussion and see what you want to talk about. But Thibault, I don't know if you've got anything that you want to discuss more about Hopper, and I feel like for everybody who's tuning in, it could be good to be a first mover on this.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to quickly chime in on Hopper, and then we'll go back to the questions we had, which is like, what is Book Direct? How did it get started? And go through there, because again, it's really important. I think the context we had already, right? You can see there's pros, there's cons. What's important is, again, what experts say, right? And that's like, always, where's the data from, right? That's why I'm so always big on data. What are we talking about? Because you know your market better than anyone else, right? So use the data, look at what they're saying, and say, okay, it looks different from me. Why is it different, right? So always what I learned here. So Hopper is interesting. I mean, we probably have a lot of Europeans here in the room today. So Hopper in the US, Hopper was the #1 downloaded app, the most downloaded travel app in the US last year, right? Ahead of Airbnb, Expedia. They are really big. They're really big on capturing Gen Z, how you want to say this, millennials, which obviously I'm completely a Gen Z person, as you can tell. So they're very big on that. And what they do, they've just launched Hopper Homes, which their holiday rentals offer, right? And what's really striking with Hopper, that they are, again, able to bring a layer of flexibility, as I just talked about. Basically, Hopper is like a new form of OTA, of a new form of Expedia-ish website. You can book flights, hotels, and now cars, and now as well as vacation rentals. And they bring a new layer of flexibility where, again, it can be hard for us to compete. For example, for flights, they bring price freeze, right? I know prices of flights can vary. If you like a price now, and if you pay Hopper, let's say, $5, they can freeze that price and you can book it later if you want at that price you saw, right? Or you can sell you a cancel anytime option. So even if the flight cannot be canceled, you can cancel up to 24 hours in advance of the flight. If you buy from Hopper, right, this kind of guarantee or insurance-ish product, if you will. Imagine if it brings this to us, right? Even if our cancel policy is not flexible, non-refundable, they can actually let us keep our policy, but allow the guest to cancel because the guest will have bought from Hopper a sort of policy or travel insurance-ish product that pays them back. It's just it could be real life changing. And again, why we're talking about this for a debate, it's like the competition from these big channels has moved on into the way they can also offer more services, ways to pay, ways to freeze prices. And maybe some of us are using dynamic pricing, but maybe some people want to freeze prices. How do we do that? It's a whole level of complexity. How on earth can you be on that level? Just teasing you with that. But to get started though, to go back to so the second part of the debate here, because it's already half of it. How this whole hashtag get started? How did it get started, Mark? The whole direct booking thing.
Well,
direct, sorry.
How did it get started? I think we all know that it was Amy Hino and what she's doing at VRM Intel who started the hashtag Book Direct Day, sort of bringing hosts together, which is a great thing. As far as where did hashtag Book Direct get so popular, I feel like I may have a little bit to play responsible for that to a certain extent, because it's something that we've been talking about, and the hospitality community, which is the free Facebook group that everybody's part of in here, has played a large part of it. Every Thursday we come together and we do a Thursday social where we spread the word on social media. We put posts up, we share each other's posts, we like each other's posts, engage each other's posts, and spread the word of direct bookings. And this has been my whole goal really since starting this in 2016, because I saw the lack of support locally in my local area of Scarborough and Whitby and North Yorkshire, and I could see a massive lack of support on a sort of national and international level. So I created a hospitality community as a way of educating hosts on how to get direct bookings. But I knew so that with everything that I was teaching, if I could educate hosts on direct bookings, then in turn we would educate guests. And that's the big thing here, is that we're trying to educate the guests to book direct. And it's all about putting it in simple places that they can see and how they can be educated. When I came into the family business, one of the main things that I wanted to do is to really build our direct bookings, to really make sure that the offline word of mouth that we had came online. And everything that I did was around increasing that direct bookings and educating the guests. Because I don't know about you and everybody on the call here, every time I had a problem to deal with and I had to go to booking.com, I would much rather eat glass because it was just such a tedious, strenuous process. And I always knew whenever I was going down the route of booking.com or anywhere, Expedia, Airbnb, they're always trying to side on the guest, which, for me, and the business and the family business, I didn't want to build my house on someone else's land. So it was really important to me to do that. And then in 2016, when I started it, Boostly, the podcast, and started the Facebook group and the blog, it was to help hosts learn that there are really easy and effective ways, but don't cost any money at all, to increase your direct bookings. I know there's something that you do want to talk about, the time, the money, the effort, but we'll definitely dig into it. Why has it grown so popular? I think over the last couple of years, and particularly 2020, and I think this thing that I'm going to say now is even more prevalent in the USA, because the USA and Canada, and maybe you got the Americas, they're big Airbnb fans, because obviously Airbnb came from San Francisco, but it's one of their own. And a lot of people just listed a property on Airbnb, maybe got a couple of properties just listed on Airbnb, and they're fine with it. But in March 2020, when Airbnb sent a message out to all of their guests and say, listen, you can cancel, doesn't matter what the policy is, you can cancel, get your money back. I think that really pissed off a lot of people, because a lot of people were down revenue wise, and there was no, I mean, Airbnb have now admitted that they were wrong. They shouldn't have done it. Shouldn't have done what they did. And there's no heads up. They're not saying, hey, this is what we're going to do. They just sent it out to everybody. And I feel that after that, and I can speaking from a personal point of view as somebody that speaks to a lot of hosts, that we have, you know, about 20, 30 conversations with hosts every single week with websites. I feel like on the back of that, hosts who are very reliant on Airbnb, just that platform, are now going, right, if I'm going to have this business next year or 2 years or 5 years, I've got to get a property management software. I've got to get a website. I've got to, you know, build my own business here, because I can't have that happen again where, you know, I know people that had 5 figures literally wiped out in the space of 24 hours, and the business really struggled and could have struggled if, you know, if America had had the same sort of lockdown as what a lot of people in Europe had, or, you know, Bali did have, and Australia and New Zealand had, but, you know, it could have got messy. So I think this is why it's really, really important that we talk about it. We talk about it today. We talk about it every day. And this is why we're doing this.
So I hear your points. Several of them actually, because in a way, I think most people here listening here or who have a vacation rental, either you know, if it's their own property or if it's investment, we all are sort of entrepreneurs, right? And telling entrepreneurs, hey, we'll find a way to have more freedom, to reclaim your freedom and have more control. More freedom and control is I think one of the first reasons why we even set up a company or became entrepreneurs. So it is talking to us, it is attractive, I would say. But now if you do the math, right, we just saw, for example, that the average value of direct booking was bigger. Okay, and I would say one thing about it could be maybe it's lower on the OTA channels, because what happens there, maybe it's on purpose, right? Maybe what I'm doing is that I'm putting, if I'm a large, again, that's data from large property managers, right? If I have a portfolio of properties, maybe what I'm doing on OTA, I'm putting out there not my whole portfolio, maybe just the ones that are less, that would be the hardest to get direct bookings, and I'm even ready to discount them if it doesn't work out. So it could be just, again, just what I was saying, like, look at the data. What does it mean? It's a portfolio of properties. So maybe these property managers are, you know, it's not that they're more expensive on their website, that the best properties are on their website. They keep their calendar open on their website, and they close the calendars on the OTAs at some point. And they use the OTAs in a great way to get bookings in the low season, for example, or for the worst of their properties. And when they're even ready to discount, if it need be, to even get some occupancy, right? So when I see the data, the value is bigger direct, I'm like, well, I don't know. It's just some aggregate data. I don't know what to think here. What's your view?
I think when you look at data from the large property managers, it's just like looking at the data from a big chain hotel, like the Marriott or the Premier Inn. You know, you can't really take it into context about what we're doing. And I think the majority of people in here are between 1 to 100 properties, and 1 to 50 even, right? And I think that when you get to that sort of level, they easily can wipe off rates and accommodation and sort of price per night, because it's not applicable to them. If you look at if you go stay at a Premier Inn, the reason why Hotel Tonight got so popular in the States is because for them, it's more about getting bums on beds or heads on beds than it is the actual price per night. And they would just massively discount. And I think big property management companies are all well and good. The volumes and the numbers look amazing, but when you get to that sort of level, there's so many schoolboy errors that I see on an individual and sort of mass basis when it comes to what we're talking about, which is marketing. And I think for us, it's really important to make sure that, number one, if we're going to talk about the price for a direct booking to the price on the OTA site, there's so many tools that are available right now to us, small hosts from 1 to say 50 properties, that will really skew it back in your favor. And I'll give you a little example. Right now, you can go on to your property management software, whether that's Free to Book, Guesty, Toki, whoever it may be, let's just say the good ones, and what you can do is the rate that you give to the OTAs, you can mark it up 20, 30, 40, 50%. So the rate that's on your website, let's just say it's 100, and you can put it for the OTAs at 150. Okay, so massively skewed. And then with the marked up price, you can then tap into bookings.com's opportunities. And Thibault will know this more than anybody else. The opportunities at booking.com in the extranet, they throw at you so many discount.
Yeah.
So then you can literally, then you can manipulate their system to then still make it. So say that you mark up your price that you send to the OTA by 50%, but then you knock 35% off that price that you see on booking.com, and it's still a better rate on your website. Now, when I was doing this, I never had that advantage. I didn't have the opportunity to do the big markup that you now get. And so I feel that us hosts at a lower level between 1 and say 50 properties, we've got all the tools that we have got right now is fantastic and phenomenal. I feel that the stats and the figures, that's what I said right at the very start. The ones that come from the big property managers and all of that jazz, Bacasa and all of that, you've got to give it into context, is that they've got so many things going on. They've got so many spider webs going on. The rates that they give, they have not got total control of it, haven't got a clue what they're doing when they get to that sort of level, as much as what we can potentially do and we can play with right now.
So, okay, I agree with you on that point. And actually, it's a question Jacqueline has. She's talking about anyone doing markup, on booking.com. And I am doing the same. I am this very thing, right? My direct price, I take my price on my website, the commission on the commission I'm paying. I don't know if you're property manager on property owner on booking.com, you're paying like at least on average 15% commission, right? I mark up by 15%. I mean, yeah, right. And also, that's also what some people are saying is that it's good to be on these websites, because these websites are a marketing channel, advertising channel, right? It's called billboard effect. It's like a billboard. People will see your name and look out for you, but it only works. This billboard effect works for hotels, because hotels basically have a name, have a brand, location, right? Like Hotel XYZ in Brighton, I can just Google the name of this hotel and find it. If your listing is like an apartment with a sea view, how on earth can I find you, right? So I'm okay with that. But if you don't even think that you can use the billboard effect on OTAs, but if you don't think of putting a brand name out there to help people find you, how can they do that? But let me go back to the math though. Okay, so let's imagine I am doing indeed my markup, everything this, I'm doing this, right? But yet it's not the profits. In the end, what matters to me as an entrepreneur is my profits, right? I think it's, in the end, booking.com will, I'll put my listing there and it take 15%. Oh, it's a lot of money, but I don't have to create, pay, update my website. I don't have to pay Stripe or PayPal. I don't have to find ways to generate traffic through social media. Even if it's free, it's still my time on social media, right? And my time has a cost. I could be doing other things, earning more money with that very time. So, and maybe also I'm also using a channel manager, or I'm using maybe a dynamic pricing tool, so I have to pay for that, right? So, how on earth do we make it so that the costs are actually even comparable with things? And I'm going to take another example. In the US, if you're a small property owner, you pay 3% to Airbnb. 3%. So, and they bring OTAs, and they will, especially in Europe now. In Europe, it's very important, of course, to market in your traveler's language, right? I think Airbnb and Booking.com's website are in 35 languages. Is your website in 35 languages, right? Can you offer that? English is great. I'm trying to speak English today, but that's not my native language, as you can hear. And I think a lot of travelers actually, when it comes to picking places, looking at details, they like kind of having some information about this. So that's what my argument is like. Yeah, there's a cost, but even doing your direct booking marketing is expensive and maybe not as efficient for the reach to get clients. What do you think, Mark?
I was just waiting for you to tag me in, and I would love this, because this is just not me who's going to come back to this, because this is a question that comes for a lot. I can see in the chat, please leave your comebacks to that. So, okay, first and foremost, the comeback, the kickback to say, why should I do my direct booking marketing when I can just put it on Airbnb and booking.com and they will market the property for me? Maybe in 2019, you could do that. Maybe in 2018, maybe in 2017 or 2016. But as we move into 2022, I'm going to go into 2023, there are so many people who are coming into this industry. All you've got to do is go and check out Thibault's episode where he interviewed Graham from Sykes, Graham Donahue, the CEO and founder of Sykes. And look at the numbers that he shared of how many new conversations he's having with people who are coming into this industry. I believe off the top of my head, it was over 15,000 over the course of last year, more conversations that are having about people coming into this industry that want to use Sykes, and that's just Sykes, right? So if you're just going to go in that sort of method and sort of mindset, then guess what? You're going to spend as much time making sure that your listing on booking.com or Airbnb is going to be visible. Airbnb will not do your marketing for you. Someone will come onto your Airbnb and your location, and if you're on page 2, guess what? You're not going to get seen. And there's a really good example that I can share with you, and it's one that I've lived today, and I've lived the last few weeks, and I'm going to be living for the next couple of weeks of my life. And this is with this book. This book right now is on Amazon, only on Amazon. Just because I've listed it on Amazon doesn't mean that I'm going to get a book sale. I still have to market this book myself to then send people to Amazon. And Amazon is a really good example of this, because if us as hospitality owners share the mindset of what Thibault just mentioned there, of just having it on Airbnb, then you got to look at Amazon and look at Airbnb. And if they keep going on the trajectory that they're going, what's to say that Airbnb can't turn around and do what Amazon do? Because we all complain about 3% or 4% commission or 15% commission or 20% commission. In the chat, guess how much commission I have to pay for a book sale that comes in from Amazon? Have a little guess. Have a little guesstimate right now. Give me a percentage. How much do you think it is? How much percentage do I have to think that I have to pay Amazon? 70%. I only get 30% for every book sale that comes in, which is crazy. Now, what is there not to say that Airbnb, the more that they get bigger and bigger and bigger, and they're getting the massive market share, and they pretty much push booking.com out the way, and booking.com are playing catch up right now. Vrbo are playing catch up right now. What's to say that they got turned around and go, you know what, Mr. Airbnb superhost, that you now rely on heavily on us. Instead of this, I think this is a bit of an unfair relationship right now, because you're only giving me 15% or 3% for every booking. I'm going to flip that now, and we're going to put it to 30%. I'm going to get 30%. Oh, hang on a second, it's even more unfair. 50%, 70%.
Well, to be that point, actually, if you are, Airbnb is already taking 15% from people if they are, for example, I have only right now 3 properties, right? But I'm using a channel manager to connect with Airbnb. And because of that, I have to pay 15%. Yeah. Right. But why are they doing this? Because they have to align with booking.com and Vrbo, because with 50% of the commission, they do 2 things, right? They need 50% because then they can buy traffic or spend on ads on TV. And 2, if they take if they take 3% from you, it means they still have to take 10 to 12% from the guests. And they want to remove the booking fee for the guests. They want to remove that because it's just not competitive. People hate paying fees. It makes sense, right? So they have to get the money from someone, has to be you. So it is a tricky game for Airbnb. And right now, yeah, maybe they will go to 15%, but it is tricky because, pardon my French, but they pissed off a lot of people when they betrayed hosts, when they force them to massively refund. But are they going to be able to do that? I don't know. But yet, even at 15%, that's a pretty good cost. And I can see in a comment people say, yeah, but my commission, I'm reducing my commissions. I'm like, yeah, but have you increased your marketing spend? And is your increase in marketing spend more than proportional to the revenues you've been making? Again, I'm being here devil's advocate, right? But something I could say is, let's imagine, right? Let's imagine in 2020, 2021, maybe in your markets, people wanted to book direct, right? Let's imagine. But maybe now things will become better, and maybe they will book through OTAs again. I know that's what I'm hoping. When the travel reopens in Indonesia, people will go back to Airbnb and I don't know, the website, and book there. And I don't want to spend money on to get these travelers, because they come from so many different markets. By the way, I'm much prefer Airbnb, Booking.com spending money on that to catch this. And maybe again, when travelers reopen, maybe you have a lot of domestic travelers at the moment, but those international travelers, again, the OTAs will bring them to you. And I politely also disagree with one of the comments, which was like, you only need to market in the main languages. I'm like, I'm sorry. I mean, if I speak another language, you have to market in my language as well, because my language is just as important as yours.
Yeah. Tag me in, because I want.
I muted you for some reason.
You didn't tag me, you muted.
Look at that. So like, I don't want to hear your argument.
Okay, so this is the second part of what I was going to say. And this is really, really important. The time element and the aspects of the costs, all right? Now, first and foremost, if you get this book today, you will not have to worry about costs, because everything in here that I show you is how you can get direct bookings and not have to spend money on Facebook ads or Google ads, etc. So we're going to eliminate the cost. Go and buy the book. It's $15, and the return of investment is huge. Secondly, my family business was a 200-acre farm stay property in the middle of nowhere. The village that we were based in, population 100 people. And this is really important why I'm telling you this. We would never have grown to the level of visibility that we had done if it wasn't for Booking.com. Now, you've got to repeat that. We would never have grown our business to the visibility that it had done without Booking.com. But, I did not put all of my chips in the Booking.com bucket. I didn't just rely on that channel, because yes, the visibility, the Europeans, the people from overseas that saw us because of being on there was great. But I use Booking.com like I use Facebook, like I use Instagram, like I use Twitter, like I use LinkedIn. It was just another channel. And I had many conversations with people at Booking.com over the years, and I've unofficially, they've said that, listen, we totally understand that when a guest books at a property and they book with us, and as soon as they land in your property, it doesn't matter whether it's a bed and breakfast or a rental or a vacational or an apartment or a year, as soon as they book in, if they were ever to come back, realistically, they should always be booking with you directly, the host.
I agree. I could vouch for that. It's exactly what Booking.com employees say. Exactly. We help you get your first booking. Now it's your job to try to get them loyal, which is something that's possible, right? But not in Bali, for example. People come once in a lifetime in Bali and they'll come back. So that doesn't work in my market. Haha, take that, Mark.
And back to me. Right, back to me. But yeah, I totally get what you're saying. There's going to be lots of people around here that don't have a repeat industry, a repeat destination, right? And I totally get that. But you're missing a major part here, which is social media. With the world of social media growing as much as it has done, there's no 6 degrees of separation anymore. You all know what 6 degrees of separation is if you don't Google it. With social media, that's down to 1 degree of separation. And if you do it right, and if you follow the tips in this book and everything that I've been saying over the last 5 years, it doesn't matter if Tybalt comes to my property and never comes back again. Because if you do your job right, and if you tap into the mindset of how people use social media, think of it right now. When do you mostly use your social media? It's when you're on vacation, because you like to show off that you're not in your normal 9 to 5, you're on a beach in Bali, or you're doing X or Y or Z, or you're having to fight off the monkeys in the forest of Ubud, okay? And that's when you're going to use social media. And if you do your job right, and if you do your job well, Tybalt will be your marketing channel for you. So it doesn't matter if he never comes back to the island, but he will tell his friends, his families, his co-workers, and it's how you do that. It's how you get the guest to post on their social media or to tell their friends about you, and not saying, oh, you know what, I booked this amazing Airbnb. You've got them to say, I booked this amazing property from the business called X, you should give them a call. So it really doesn't matter if you've got repeat trade. Everybody that stays with you has got a friend or a family member or somebody that they can show off to online. And this is what exactly is in this book. It's exactly what I've been talking about. And again, it doesn't have to take you a lot of time. It doesn't have to cost you a lot of money. And, I'm very annoying when I come to this because any objection to book direct or how to get direct bookings, I can back with not only my experience, but over 1,000 other hospitality experiences from the last 5 years. And there's so much proof behind it right now. It is insane. And I'm looking forward to the back of this book and to seeing everybody else's experiences moving forward for the next 5 and 10 years, because we can really dig into this.
Well, thanks, Mark. And question time is coming, right? If you do have questions, make sure you post them in the comments. And I will agree with you, right? As you know, I'm also big on Instagram as well. And for example, for St. Bart's, we have one of the biggest accounts. I just have 2 properties there, but my account is bigger than a lot of the famous hotels. Why? Because we're there, we're active, we don't spend too much time. Also, I use Instagram to convert people into newsletter subscribers. So then I can email them and, tell them about, the island, what's new, what's happening, is the island open to travelers, what are the curfew rules, all this fun stuff. But again, they learn to trust me and depend on me. And also that I can, of course, show them my properties and give them some discounts if they want to, explain to them the book direct. So I do it myself, but I'm still staying on the OTAs. So to close it, what do you think? Should you go direct completely? Should you balance it out? What do you think people should be doing?
Yeah, you have to balance out. You have to balance out. And just before I go into that point, just to bring it back to what you said, Thibault, you became the go-to. That's why it was so popular. And you've got a really good podcast episode and a video that you did where you talked about this and you laid it out with what you did on Instagram and how you did it for St. Bart's. So do go and check it out, everybody. But you became the go-to. So when people were sort of looking for advice on travel and whatnot, they came to you. And I see Mr. Damien Sheridan in the audience from the Book Direct show. Do go check that out. He has got a really good example of this with a blog that he created for his property in Spain. He created a blog about bus stops and about bus routes. And that blog was put together really well because he's very good with his SEO. And he was able to direct so much traffic to his website and to his business from people Googling, what is this bus route, this journey in where he's based in Spain. And again, this is just like one example of how to do it, but it's about becoming the go-to. It's about becoming the place and the recommendation that people do. And it's so easy to do. It's just, you only know what you know, or you don't know what you don't know. And this is why I put this book together. So I want everybody now to sort of not have an objection, say, I don't know what to do, because it's literally written in 222 pages right here. You don't have to go and trawl all of my podcasts, the 400 plus podcasts, or the YouTube, or you don't have to invest in the Boostly Academy or anything. If you can literally just pick up this book and get started. And there's literally a tactic in there that will help you. Now, to go back to the percentage, I personally believe, and I know there's some people, Heather Bayer, for example, amazing host based up in Canada, properties that are in America and Canada. She is 100% direct bookings, which is great for her. She's got 20 years plus experience, got all the marketing channels going on. I feel that for the majority of hosts, you've got to have a balance, because there's an argument that if you go 100% direct and if you turn off all of the OTAs, well, what happens if your marketing stops? What happens if your referral stops? And you've got to start literally from scratch again. So you've got to balance it out. You've got to have an active listing everywhere. And again, this book shows you exactly how to do it. You've got to have an active listing everywhere. You've got to have a visibility everywhere, like the billboard effect of what we're talking about. You've got to have direct, and you've got to have third parties, and you've got to have a referral network in there as well. So if you are 100% direct, fantastic. If you can make it last for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, fantastic. But please don't go cold turkey. Please don't turn off any of the other channels. Please don't delete your accounts, because that would not be good just for those rainy days.
Yeah, and I agree with you, right? Also on that. Again, taking off you have a hat, but I'm taking off my hat here. It's really, really important as well that your site may go down. You may have a provider, any kind of reason. You may have happened to me once. I forgot to renew my domain name. How stupid can you be? I'm so busy. I forgot, right? I managed to get my domain back, but still, if that happens and you have deleted your accounts, your listings on the others, it's just too bad. For example, you may have garnered reviews on these OTAs. Keep them. I think what the advice here is like, just you can have an active listing here, but you don't need to give them your full availability, right? You don't need to give your best dates to the OTAs. but do you know, for shoulder season, off season, why not in that case? If you think you might not be able to catch people usually, right? That's my advice. I also want to give a shout out quickly to Daniela, who, hello Daniela, who says also the book direct, of course, is better for sustainability or for supporting local community because the money is staying in local area. The money is not flowing back to San Francisco or to Amsterdam or San Francisco for Airbnb, to Texas for Verbo, or to Amsterdam for Booking.com, where the money is staying locally, which also is good because after all, guests will be using those very roads. So if you're paying local taxes, your guests are benefiting from that. So you want the money to stay that. That's
yeah.
smart.
And do go check out Daniela's Instagram. Daniela's Instagram is a really good one to coincide what you've done for St. Bart's. Daniela for Marbella, fantastic. Yeah. Please put up your link in the chat to your Instagram, Daniela, because it is one of the best. And I just want to very quickly say, very quickly, someone's messaged me directly on Zoom to say, can you sell me the book directly without commission? And this is really important. It brings me back to what I was saying before. I have not got any avenue or potential way of selling you a book directly. This is how much Amazon have monopolized the book world. And this is scary. You know, this is why it's scary to me, that if we keep letting Airbnb grow the rate that they're growing, at the moment, they're saying 15% because they have to play on par with Booking.com and Verbo. But what happens if they keep getting bigger? But this is with Amazon right now. I have not got any way to do this directly. I cannot get the book to you through Kindle directly. I cannot get the book to you. I'm literally saying Kindle. Kindle's not a thing. That is the business. It's like I'm saying Coca-Cola right now instead of saying frothy beverage that will melt your skin. I cannot sell this book to you directly because it has to go through Amazon. I literally cannot do this directly. So this is why it's really important. So, you know, I'm having to take that cut because there's no other revenue. You, as hosts, as property managers, you have still got this ability. So make hay while the sun shines. You know, I'm a son of a farmer. Make hay while the sun shines and take advantage of it. And, you know, I'm preaching to the choir because everybody in this room is doing direct bookings in some way, shape or form. After this, I'm going to be speaking on another podcast, which is very much Airbnb, and I'm going to have a much bigger battle than I have in this one. But this is why we have to keep talking about it. It's so important.
And to conclude here again, you mentioned Damien, who's at the Book Direct show. You know, it will happen again this year. There's like multiple resources, but if people don't know your community yet, Mark, how may they reach out to you or be part of your community? What could they be doing?
The best thing to do right now, just go to boostly.co.uk/book, get the book, get started. And then once you've got the book, you'll be introduced to my world. So go to boostly.co.uk/book, go in there, grab the book. It's literally today, which if you get it on the 2nd, the paperback version's got a special discount for the publishers, put that in there today. The Kindle's only £7.99, so it's like $10, like €8. And then you're in the world. Once you're in there, then you'll open the door to all the Team Boostly. And there's so many Team Boostly members in there in this chat today, which is great. Yeah. Just out of instance, if you are part of Team Boostly, put #Team Boostly in the chat very quickly for me, just to see everybody that is in here. So Jody, I can see Tracy, Daniela, Christina, which is amazing to see. But Helen, fantastic. Hadil, nice to see you.
And what I will add as well is that you know, when we registered to this show, you got, you know, either live or watching replay, but you had access to a Dropbox folder shared by Mark, where you have these resources you should be posting today because they actually about, to your point, to helping guests understand that they should book direct or why they should. So make sure you are using the resources today, because today is the day, is the #book direct day. Mark, thank you so much for your insights today. I don't want to run too much over time. Is there anything else you need to say to conclude?
No, I mean, obviously this is Book Direct Day, and if you're tuning in now with us, please do post out on your social medias about, you know, Book Direct. If you don't know what to post, T-Bolt's email that he sent out to everybody has got a link to a Dropbox in there, and yeah, please go take advantage of it. Thank you to everybody that's tuned in, to all 35 of you. It means the world to me that people spend time in their day to do so. I know there's loads going on, so thank you very much for tuning in. And for anybody who is watching on the replay, yeah, please do get involved. Please do go get the book. My goal is to get this to the #1 on the bestseller above all the books that are on Airbnb. There are so many books on Airbnb. There are none about direct bookings. So let's get this above the Airbnb books. And the only way we're going to do so is by leaving a review and going to get the book, whether it's Kindle, Audible, print, you name it, go and do it. But thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone, again for attending today. Thank you, Mark. Thanks to the Boostly community, the Rental Scale Up community as well. For more Rental Scale Up, go to rentalscaleup.com and you will find there actually also article we wrote with Mark about the Book Direct movement as well. They are there on the website. Go check them out. It's the day. And I wish you all a great day. If you're watching, I hope it was interesting to you as well. And have a lot of direct bookings this year. Take care, everyone.